If you turn the recording off, then
Recording in progress. In progress. I'm gonna pause it.
Good morning. Today is June 18th, 2026. Time is 10 a.m. This is a duly called meeting of the Texas Low-Level Radioactive Waste Disposal Compact Commission. I am Chairman Brandon Hurley. Here with me today in person, we have Commissioner Morris and Vice Chairman Salzman. And then online today, we have Commissioner, hold on, I'm going to make sure. We have Commissioner Nyack, Commissioner Bradford, and Commissioner Mundy, and Commissioner Anwar. So we have a quorum and we can proceed with our business. As a quick reminder, most of you are online today. So if you are going to want to speak in today's meeting, please use the raise your hand function, which is at the bottom tray in the Zoom platform. And we will get to you as soon as possible. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted after we get through today. The agenda, if you'd like to, will be on the screen, but it is also available online. And with that, we want to welcome some of our other guests and attendees. We appreciate everyone who showed up in person. We think that from now on, show up in person, you're probably going to get a door prize because we can do that with all 5 of you. But we appreciate everyone who's online as well. We appreciate our friend from TCQ, Ms. Kaufman, joining us today. She is going to be working with us, and we're very excited about that. We're also excited about having some of our friends from our sister compacts join us today. Other than that, are there any other elected officials or press that are online today? Okay, with that, I think we can proceed to item 4, which is our public comment period, because we have knocked out 1 through 3. Item 4 is the public comment period. Generally, we ask you to fill out a speaker sheet, but since we are not many today and we are being somewhat informal, if anyone has a matter of public comment they'd like to address to the commission, please indicate so by raising your hand, and we will call on you and let you speak to the commission.
Ms. Haddon would like to speak.
You see that Ms. Haddon has her hand up, and we will invite her to, I think, join the webinar in a way where she can speak.
Yeah, if you'll unmute yourself, Ms. Haddon, you should be able to speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. Hope you're all doing well. I'm Karen Haddon on behalf of the Texas Nuclear Watchdogs. And I wanted to talk kind of in general today about some concerns. I looked on the WCS website. They have an article about WCS acquiring Aileron as the Pennsylvania company effective December 31st of last year. And this raises some questions. This company does not have a good history, in my opinion, in terms of they misrepresented the source of the waste that they were sending to WCS. They said that they had generated it, and they came before you and said that they had done that numerous times, not just once or twice. My recollection is 27 times. You might know differently, but that's a lot. And then they tried, I'm sure, to clean that up, but that has been an issue. This same company, their waste was on a train that caught fire in South Chicago and smoldered for quite some time. The reports on that determined that there was radiation released into the air there, and that dust from friction had caused the ignition. So I think it's concerning that WCS has bought this company, and in light of the fact that it's creating a vertical structure for the nuclear waste industry here. And I'm wondering, I'm asking your help in determining what needs to be done, because I think this creates an unprecedented situation. There will surely be impacts on the market, and I'm wondering how you will determine what that does. I'm wondering about the gross receipts tax surcharges that will be applied, and what differences will occur there. I'm assuming that in Pennsylvania, this waste is getting down blended on the front end. Correct me if I'm wrong there, or enlighten me, and maybe Dave Carlson will want to speak to some of this later. The At the Aileron site, and so will the waste be going to the compact facility, or will it just end up going to the wrecker site, which has less protection environmentally? This matters to the public in terms of safety, and also there needs to be clarity and oversight and transparency on the waste itself, and in the charges. If it's going to the compact facility, the correct charges need to be applied, and the state needs to get the corresponding correct revenues. Will Aileron in fact be paying the full surcharges as other companies would? And how will we know? Will those make it to the coffers of the state of Texas? And will they go into a cleanup fund? How will we know? How will we get the oversight and perhaps additional oversight that is needed? Transparency becomes more and more of an issue in this circumstance. And I ask your help, and I appreciate the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Haddon, and you raised many, many valid points that we have already had discussions with Mr. Carlson about some of those. And I honestly believe that WCS acquiring Aileron is the best thing that could have happened, because now we know that we have a partner that's going to hopefully make sure that those same mistakes never happen again. And Mr. Carlson, to his credit, has been very cognizant of the fact that of the past, and he has, said that one of his top priorities is to not allow anything like that to happen again. But you raised many other valid points, some of which Mr. Carlson may address when it's his turn to get up and give his report. But we will be obviously staying on top of what Aileron's role is going to be and where they send their waste, and obviously they have the right to send it to wherever it's appropriate. But we will be interested to make sure, because currently Aileron, I think. I know sends waste to the CWF, and I'm assuming they send waste to the wrecker facility both. So I'm sure it will be a ongoing determination based on the waste that they process and treat. So, but it is something that we will also try to keep a close tab on and make sure that we understand what's going on there. So we appreciate your comments. Are there any other public comments of the general nature? Then we can move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is our report from Mr. Carlson. I'll invite him to the table.
But to make this,
Yeah, just hit that button. It should go green.
I don't think these are connected. I think you could just speak.
can you hear me?
Oh,
Oh, it's probably on this thing here. Okay, I'm Dave Carlson. I'm president of Waste Control Specialists and would like to give my report. So let me start with the site's continued compliant and safe operations. And just to give you a few statistics, we speak in terms of the Texas fiscal year, which starts September 1st of 2025, and any totals are through the end of May. So in compact disposals, 1,378 cubic feet and 401 curies. Out of compact, 24,894 cubic feet and 59,206 curies. So the total since inception is 317,640 cubic feet and 638,076 curies. Our constructed capacity is 875,000 cubic feet right now. So our remaining capacity is about 64% of that. So we have many years of capacity remaining in that cell. In terms of surcharge payments, of course, are additional payments on gross receipts on top of taxes that we pay. And in the last quarter, we paid just over $2 million to the state of Texas and $584,000 to Andrews County in those surcharges, bringing the totals since inception up to $96,700,000 to the state of Texas and 21,674,000 to Andrews County, for a total just over $118 million. And that is what I had for today. Any questions?
And just out of curiosity, not that I'm happy to commit to this, but, in the very long term, if there is another expansion, which direction does it go?
Let's see. So we've got phase one in, we got phase 2A. So the next would either go south or east.
And again, this is very long term, off maybe long after you and I are gone. But would it be along the same lines of the size of the current cells?
Yeah, typically we would want to create a cell about the same size. If you create it too much bigger, it's more to take care of. It's a larger investment. So we think in terms of creating cell space for 5 to 10 years, that sort of range, and then repeating it rather than building a much bigger thing that would be built many years ahead of time.
And I realize this is a $64,000 question that everybody's talked about more than they should probably, but if SMRs take off or if new full-size reactors start being built, do you expect the rate of fill to increase drastically, or do you really have any sense of that at this point?
Yes, what we see is generally the waste generation from any reactor is proportional to the megawatts that it puts out. And so, at least what we're seeing today is, at least for the next decade or more, there's not likely to be a huge increase in the power production in the country. I'd like to see it, but I don't expect it. So I think it'll be slow. SMRs don't produce more waste than larger reactors. Again, it's generally proportional to what larger reactors produce. So I'd love to see more, and we have some startups in Texas that could contribute to that. But we've got many, many, many decades of space in the cell for Texas generators. More likely over 100 years of space for Texas generators.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Moore?
I have a quick question. Congratulations on your purchase of Aileron. I agree with Chairman Hurley. That's a good thing. That you guys certainly offer the oversight that was lacking, specifically in terms of like generator authorizations and things, making sure those are correct and available and everything. My question though is, I'm kind of curious about all this. How do you see it fitting into your operations, into your business model, the use of Aileron? Can you maybe expand, give us a few comments or expand?
Sure, we have customers in that area, and it's much closer to those customers. So, that would be the bottom line. The Aileron facility, of course, is regulated by the state of Pennsylvania. And we have, we deal with our regulators there, and, like regulators for the state of Texas, they're very interested in what we do and pay close attention.
Great. Okay, good. Thanks.
Any shipments to the state of Texas will fully comply with all the laws and regulations of the state of Texas and with the rules of this compact commission. So bottom line answer to your question, though, is to be closer to customers.
And I'm embarrassed to ask this because I know I should know it, but is Aileron considered a treatment facility, or is it a processing facility, or is it do a little bit of everything? What all can you do at Aileron?
Yeah, they do many things there. So some of the most important things they do are they store materials for nuclear companies that don't have radioactively licensed storage space. And so whether it's a transportation cask or whether it's fuel pool processing equipment that travels from plant site to plant site, many of those kinds of things they store on their site. They also have space that they lease out to customers, and those customers can come in, customers that don't have their own radioactive materials license, and they can fix things on the Aileron site. For example, an expensive piece of equipment like a reactor coolant pump. They could bring it to that facility, and it doesn't have to be the Aileron folks working on it. It can be the folks that are experts on that reactor coolant pump can come there, work on a contaminated pump in a contaminated area with a radioactive materials license. So they do that kind of thing. They do a lot of release surveys. So for example, equipment that's gone into a radiation area at a power plant or that kind of thing, a controlled area. And there's so much of it that it's challenging for the nuclear power plant or for other entity to have time to deal with it, to make sure that it's clean. They can send that in a container to Aileron, and Aileron can go through and verify that all of it's uncontaminated and release it so that the company can use it perhaps on the next outage. If it's outage equipment or that kind of thing. A lot of times it's quite expensive equipment, electrical equipment, those kind of things. They also work on recycle. So if you think about controls in a nuclear power plant, you've got backup power for those controls, so you can continue to monitor, and those tend to be diesel generators. And beyond that, you have things like batteries, and batteries don't last forever, so they're routinely replaced. And in many power plants, they sit in controlled areas. And so when that comes out of the control area, how do you verify that doesn't have to go to landfill, that it has to go somewhere else? So that could go to Aileron, and Aileron could do the release surveys on that and send those expended batteries to recycle. So a number of things like that. What they also do is they can accumulate, and they've done this for years, they can accumulate waste from several sources and put it into a single conveyance to make it more efficient to ship. And so they do that sort of thing as well.
Do you ever see Aileron checking the generator box, saying that they generate any waste themselves?
So I'm not exactly sure what that particular rule is in Pennsylvania. I probably understand it better in Tennessee. But yes, there's certain parts of the waste stream that are completely unattributable to a specific client that I believe are generated by them. For example, if you were wearing protective clothing and working with the waste streams of several different customers, you couldn't attribute that protective clothing back to one of those customers, perhaps, and then it would be self-generated waste. I believe that's also how it works in Pennsylvania. I know that's how it works in Tennessee, for example.
So essentially be very minimal kinds of things that you'd expect with operations.
Right, you don't take something in and suddenly turn it from one thing into something else.
Any other questions for Mr. Carlson? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, and for the record, we now have been joined by Commissioner Sarek, although I don't see him on my screen. Okay, and with that, we are finished with item number 5. We can move on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is the Rules Committee. I will simply introduce this by saying the Rules Committee has been working very hard on multiple rules, and this is a culmination, hopefully, of 2 of those, which I hope make things better, because that's really what the purpose of both of these rules are. But with that, I will turn it over to the chairman of our Rules Committee, Commissioner Morris.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to our counsel, Stephen Ogle of the Attorney General's Office, for his guidance and help in preparing these rule changes, these rule revisions. And with that being said, I would like to say, as chair of the Rules Committee, I move that the Compact Commission adopt proposed rules 31 tax 675.23, that's an importation rule, and proposed rule 31 Texas Administrative Code 675.20, which are definitions, specifically in this case, small quantity generator definition, is published in the Texas Register with the effective date September 1st, 2026.
And just as a reminder, this is part of the Administrative Procedures Act. We have previously introduced this rule, had discussion about it, published it for the period that was required under the statute, and now we're into that period without any comments. And so we are now moving for final passage of this rule to be actually adopted and added to the Texas Register through and eventually the Texas Administrative Code. So there is a motion on the table to approve the new proposed rules in section 675.23 related to importation and section 675.20.
Jeff Monday, raise your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there's a motion, so we will now have discussion, and I think
Mhm.
Commissioner Money has a thought, so I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Yes, and I was going to say the last contact John and I had in a meeting with the governor's office on this, they had asked us to not move forward at that time. So I'm checking to see if anybody has more recent contact
No, this is not
indicating to
that
the
rule.
con.
This
Okay,
is the rule about,
it's not the management
all,
rule.
no, it is not.
No, this is not the
Okay,
management rule.
fine,
670.23,
fine.
which is the importation rule, which essentially is regarding the paperwork that a hard copy is no longer required,
Uh,
electronic
Fine.
paperwork.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the one where they, applicants were required to send a paper copy to the TCEQ, and it was a vestige of the past, and both TCEQ and
Yeah,
us decided we wanted to jump into the
perfect.
21st century
Thank you.
and not have them submit it on paper anymore. And then 0.20 is the definition of a small quantity generator, because there had been some confusion and people were possibly in error, asking to be considered a small quantity generator when they didn't really qualify. So we wanted to clean up that rule to make it clear what one was, so maybe we could avoid some of that. So it is not the managed rule, I guess. So there's a motion, is there a
Thank you.
second? Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion about the motion to pass for final adoption the proposed rules in 675.23 and 675.20 of our portion of the Texas Administrative Code? Hearing none, we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to adopt the proposed new rules, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion passes. Jeff, we would not do that to you, you know that.
I just, making
Never
sure
be too careful.
things clear. Thank you.
So with that, we are through with item 6 on our agenda. We can move on to item 7, which is our capacity contingency committee plan. As we've said in the past couple of meetings, really these two committees have almost kind of merged into one, because the issues that they are addressing really are kind of one and the same. That being said, I don't know, Commissioner Mundy, if you have any report on the capacity contingency committee, or if there's nothing new to report.
Nothing new.
Okay. With that, then we can move on from item 7. I do not believe we need the executive session in item 8, unless someone else believes we do. And so we can skip item 8 and move right on to item 9, which is consideration and possible action on our import applications. And the first one is item 9A, which is Kiwani Solutions, the import application of Kiwani Solutions. And I will turn it over to the chair of our technical committee and Vice Chairman Salzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The technical committee has received and reviewed the application from Kiwani Solutions, Inc. It was received April 27, 2026. It's number 1-0520-00. Kiwani is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the Act. They specifically request authorization for Class B and Class C unstable segmented hardware, and that waste was approved for disposal at the site via letter correspondence from TCEQ dated June 4, 2026. They've requested authorization for 333.6 cubic feet and 6,445 curies. WCS sent a letter recommending approval of this import application. That waste will originate from the state of Wisconsin, which is in the Midwest Compact and does not require export authorization. And they've requested an agreement for next fiscal year, so that agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. Technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the technical committee on item 9A? Seeing no hands raised, we can move on to a motion.
I make a motion to approve the import application from Kiwani Solutions, Inc., number 1-0520-00. It's for Class B and Class C unstable segmented hardware. The volume is 333.6 cubic feet, radioactivity is 6,445 curies. And that agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Chair will
Second,
second it. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion about item 9A, the import application of Kiwani Solutions? Hearing none, we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Kiwani Solutions represented in item 9A, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. We can now move on to item 9B, which is the import application of Bionomics, and we will turn it back over to Vice Chairman Sullivan.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Bionomics Inc. It's received April 30, 2026. It's number 1-0521-00. Bionomics is a broker who's a licensed waste processor and collector. They've requested authorization for Class A, Class B, and Class C stable and unstable sealed sources in containers, including completed uranium shielding. Those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site via letter correspondence from TCEQ dated June 4, 2026. They've requested authorization for 700 cubic feet and 7,200 curies. WCS sent a letter to the commission recommending approval of this import application. Bionomics has indicated that a waste will originate from all states and U.S. territories except those in the Texas Compact, but including Alaska, Hawaii, and Washington, D.C. So any waste from the Northwest, Southwest, and Rocky Mountain Compacts will generally require export authorization. And to date, those export authorizations and generator authorizations have not been submitted, so that information would have to be submitted to the commission prior to any shipment. Bionomics has indicated that the waste is from small quantity generators, and based on the volume, curies, and generator types, the commission concurs so long as the waste does not originate from nuclear fuel cycle facilities, nuclear power generation facilities, or the U.S. Department of Defense. The commission reached out to Bionomics with regard to their application because they said they wanted it for this fiscal year, but they responded back and have indicated the request is for next fiscal year. So the agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. Technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the technical committee on the import application of Bionomics represented in item 9B? Hearing none, I think we can move on to a motion.
Question, chat portion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of this application.
Online, Christian Schwab, from our sister compact asked, the Bionomics waste contains Northwest Interstate Compact waste. The Texas legislature put limits on volume and activity without a compact waste going to WCS. Northwest Interstate Compact waste has a disposal pathway. Why are you using your limited out of compact disposal capacity for waste that already has a disposal pathway? Thank you for your time. I will take a crack at it, and then maybe John can, and Linda maybe can supplement me. Generally speaking, with brokers, unless there's a strict limitation on their ability to export waste that requires an export authorization that they don't receive, we do not necessarily ding an entire application because some portion of the stream of waste has an opportunity to be disposed of at a different locale. Our understanding of the brokerage business is that the synergy you get from being a broker is that waste from multiple sources can be consolidated and shipped in a single shipment, which may include waste from multiple locales. So in light of that, we have never refused a broker's import request based on the fact that there is a alternate pathway for disposal. As to the limited capacity or the limited curies that the Texas legislature has allocated on a yearly basis, we have never once gotten close to hitting that capacity limitation. If we ever did, I'm sure there would be a lot of things that we would reconsider, in light of the fact that we would be bumping up against our limit. But in light of the historical norms, we have never had a curie limit issue, which is also the reason we have our contingent curie program, but I won't go into that. But that is the reason that we would allow a broker to apply to dispose of waste here that might have alternate path to disposal, or maybe even a more convenient one. But I'll turn it over to John to let him maybe flesh out what I'm trying to say.
Well, I would echo what you've had to say and just add a couple of additional points. For this particular waste and the broker, they've indicated the waste could come from states that would include those in the Northwest Compact, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will. So, you know, the motion and the information they provided is just, it could come from any of the states in the US except those in the Texas Compact. So again, what actually comes, we don't know yet, but Bionomics would have to provide that information to us. I would say sort of similarly, this commission has received and reviewed import applications from, I want to get this correct, from the Atlantic Compact, which is South Carolina, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And that waste has another path to disposal at the Atlantic Compact, but the entities within the Atlantic Compact sometimes choose to ship elsewhere. Again, I think it's a business decision, and I would suspect that any waste that might come from the Northwest Compact would be a business decision. Probably the question on that would be better addressed to the broker, not to this committee.
Chairman Hurley, if it would be helpful, I can explain the process of our, if it would be helpful to the commissioners, the process that we go through for the approval of those brokers whenever they ship from the Northwest Compact. I'm happy to explain.
Sure, that'd be great.
Ms. Schwab and those interested, when waste comes in on a manifest and from brokers that have waste coming from the Northwest Compact, the requirement that I have placed on them for discussion with the commissioners is that they are required to seek approval or at least notification to the Northwest Compact that the waste is leaving their compact, so as to notify that compact of what waste is coming out so they can rebalance for their purposes and know what waste is leaving, and they're required to do that in writing to myself before we put additional approval letter for that waste to be allowed. But since the Northwest Compact is not required restriction or authorization for it to leave the compact, we have not imposed that restriction on waste.
Any other questions or comments on this issue? Kristen, I hope that helps you understand it better and answers your question. Obviously, if you have any other concerns, feel free to reach out. So I think we have a motion, and I think we need that. Oh, you didn't make the motion, did you?
I don't think I did.
I did not.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the import application for Bionomics Inc. 1-0521-00. That is for Class A, Class B, and Class C, stable and unstable sealed sources in containers, including depleted uranium. The volume is 700 cubic feet. The curies are 7,200. Any waste from the Northwest, Southwest, or Rocky Mountain compacts generally require export authorization, and we will need the generator authorizations. That information will have to be provided to the administration for review. This will be considered waste from a small quantity generator, and the agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion about item 9B, the import application of biofuels? Hearing none, I think we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Bionomics represented in item 9B on our agenda, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion passes. With that, we can move on to item 9C, which is the import application of PG&E Diablo Canyon. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's let Ms. Haddon speak first, and then we will move on to item 9C.
Should be able to talk with that.
Karen, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I do not have comment on this set of items, but there may be other people who do, and I'm not hearing a call for public comment. So I just want to see if that's still in place.
Yes. When I say any other discussion or questions,
Okay.
I mean commissioners and the public.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. We can move on now to item 9C, the import application of PG&E Diablo Canyon.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Gas Electric Diablo Canyon Power Plant. Was received May 5, 2026, and it's number 1-0522-00. Diablo Canyon is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste. They have requested authorization for Class A and Class B unstable, dewatered resin and encapsulated filters, and those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site. The letter corresponds from TCQ dated June 4, 2026. They requested authorization for 386 cubic feet and 144 curies. WCS sent a letter recommending approval of this import application. That waste will originate from the state of California, which is in the Southwestern Compact and requires export authorization. So Diablo Canyon will have to provide that prior to any shipment. And they have requested an agreement for next fiscal year, so that would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. That committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the technical committee on the import application of PG&E to Diablo Canyon? Hearing none, I think we can move on to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the import application from Pacific Gas and Electric Diablo Canyon Power Plant. That would be for Class A and Class B unstable, dewatered resin and encapsulated filters. The volume is 386 cubic feet. Radioactivity is 144 curies. It will originate from California, so they have to provide the export authorization prior to shipment, and it would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from the public or commissioners about the import application of PG&E Diablo Canyon? Hearing none, I think we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of PG&E Diablo Canyon, represented in item 9C on our agenda, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion passes. With that, we can move on to item 9B, the import application of Wolf Creek Nuclear Operating, and we'll turn it back over to Vice Chairman Zoltzman.
Said committee has received and reviewed an import application from Wolf Creek Corporation to receive May 6, 2026, number 1-0523-00. Wolf Creek is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste. They requested authorization for Class A, Class B, and Class C unstable resins, filters, and DAW, and those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site. The letter corresponds from TCQ dated June 4, 2026. They requested authorization for 750 cubic feet and 200 curies of radioactivity. And that waste, I should say the commission received a letter from WCS recommending approval of this import application. That waste will originate from the state of Kansas, which is in the Central Compact. It does not require export authorization. And they have requested an agreement for next fiscal year, so that would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. Tech committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any cool? Any questions on the technical committee on item 9D? Seeing none, I think we can move on to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the import application from Wolf Creek Nuclear Operating Corporation. That would be for Class A, Class B, and Class C unstable resins filters, DAW. Volume is 750 cubic feet. The radioactivity is 200 curies. And the agreement have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from commissioners or the public about item 9D, the import application of Wolf Creek? Seeing none, I think we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Wolf Creek Nuclear Operating represented in item 9D on our agenda, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. We can now move on to item 9E, the import application of Energy Solutions, and I'll turn it back over to the Vice Chairman.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Energy Solutions LLC and acting as a broker in this case. That was received May 13, 2026, and they're number 1-0524-00. They've requested authorization for Class B and Class C unstable export detectors with metal and DAW. Those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site via letter correspondence from TCQ dated June 4, 2026. They've requested authorization for 125.2 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 4.6 curies. WCS sent a letter to the commission recommending approval of this import application. They've indicated that this waste will originate from California, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. California is in the Southwestern Compact, which requires export authorization. North Carolina is an unaffiliated state, and Pennsylvania is in the Appalachian Compact, which does not require export authorization. So they will have to provide the export authorization from the Southwestern Compact and any generator authorizations before they can make shipment. And they have requested, I believe that's correct, next fiscal year, an agreement for next fiscal year. So that agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. Technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the technical committee on item 9E, the import application of Energy Solutions? Seeing none, I think we can move on to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the import application from Energy Solutions LLC acting as a broker. And that would be for Class B and Class C unstable export detectors with metal and DAW. Volume is 125.2 cubic feet. The total radioactivity is 4.6 curies. They'll have to provide the export authorization from the Southwestern Compact and the necessary generator authorizations before any shipments. And that agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from the public or commissioners about item 9E, the import application of Energy Solutions? Seeing none, we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Energy Solutions identified in item 9E on our agenda, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion passes. We now move on to item 9F, the import application of Unitech Services.
The technical committee has received and reviewed an import application from Unitech Services Group, which received May 14, 2026. It's number 1-0525-00. In this case, Unitech is a broker, waste processor, requesting authorization to dispose of waste in accordance with the Act. And they requested authorization for Class A, unstable DAW, metals, flowable material, resin, asbestos, depleted uranium, dried filter cake, etc. And those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site via letter correspondence from TCQ dated June 4, 2026. They've requested authorization for 650 cubic feet and 10 curies of radioactivity. WCS sent a letter recommending approval of this import application. And they have indicated that this waste will originate from all states except Alaska, Hawaii, and Vermont. And I'll note that that list would include the state of Texas, which is not under the purview of this commission. Disposal of waste generated in Texas does not require approval from this commission. Any waste from the Northwest, Southwestern, or Rocky Mountain compacts will generally require export authorization. Additionally, those export authorizations and waste generator authorizations will have to be provided to the commission prior to any shipments. And they have indicated that they are designing an agreement for next fiscal year. So the proposed agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027. Technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the technical committee on item 9F? Seeing none, I think we can move on to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the import application for Radioactive Services Group. That would be for Class A unstable DAW metals, flowable material, resin, asbestos, depleted uranium, dried filter cake, etc. For 650 cubic feet, 10 curies of radioactivity. Any required export authorizations and generator authorizations must be provided to the administration for review prior to any shipment. And the agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from the public or commissioners about item 9F, the import application of Unitech Services? Seeing none, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Unitech Services represented in item 9F on our agenda, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. And one last time, we will move on to item 9G, which is the import application Constellation Energy, and we'll turn it over to Vice Chairman Saltzman.
Technical committee has received and reviewed import application Constellation Energy Generation. It was received May 14, 2026 as number 1-0526-00. In this case, Constellation is a generator requesting authorization to dispose of waste. And they requested authorization for Class A, Class B, and Class C unstable, dewatered, bead, and Powdex resin, filter sludges, dry activated waste, process filters, non-rated metal components, and large components. Those waste streams were approved for disposal at the site via letter of correspondence from TCEQ dated June 4, 2026. They've requested a volume of 3,000 cubic feet and a total radioactivity of 5,000 curies. WCS sent a letter recommending approval of this import application. And they've indicated that the waste will originate from Illinois, Maryland, New York, and Pennsylvania. Those states are located in the central Midwest and Appalachian compacts, with New York being unaffiliated. So no export authorizations would be required. And they have requested an agreement for next fiscal year, so the termination date would be August 31, 2027. The technical committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the technical committee on item 9G, the import application of Constellation? Hearing none, we'll move on to a motion.
I make a motion to approve the import application for Constellation Energy Generation.
I don't know what happened. This has been dark over.
Might have been a lack of motion.
Continuing my motion, that would be for Class A, Class B, and Class C unstable. Not going to repeat the waste stream. The cubic feet is 3,000. The total radioactivity is 5,000 curies. And the agreement would have a termination date of August 31, 2027.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from the public or commissioners on item 9G, the import application of Constellation Energy? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the import application of Constellation Energy represented in item 9G, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. With that, we're through with item 9. We have one amendment request in item 10, and just as a brief reset for everyone who maybe doesn't attend all the time, we ask people to get an import agreement with us on a disposal year basis, which is September 1st to August 31st. Once those are granted, we do have a process by which people can amend those agreements for whatever reason they may have. There is a minor amendment process that we have put into our rules that allows a minor amendment, which is really only changing a waste stream or a location from which waste is generated. Actually, not waste stream, I'm sorry, just origin of the waste, without full commission approval, because what we found was that people were adding states to it, and we didn't think that that necessitated a full consideration of the entire commission. But otherwise, we were asked that people come forward and ask for an amendment, which is as simple as a letter that simply outlines what they want portion of their agreement to be amended is and what their new request is. So that is the reason we sometimes have amendments. Today we have one amendment request from ADP CR3, and we will turn it over to the Vice Chairman one last time for an explanation of this amendment.
Technical Committee has received and reviewed an amendment request from ADP CR3. It was received April 1, 2026. It's number 1-0504-01. And in this case, the applicant has requested to add sealed sources to the waste stream. So following along with what Chairman Hurley had to say, in this case, this does require a full review by the commission. And the reason being, we need a new letter from TCEQ that authorizes that waste stream for disposal at the site, which they did. That letter was dated June 4, 2026. So they've requested to add sealed sources to the waste stream. There were no other changes requested. In this case, the reason being, it was, I think, inadvertently left off their original import application. The Technical Committee recommends approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the Technical Committee? Excuse me. Any questions of the Technical Committee on item 10A, the import amendment request for ADP CR3? Seeing none, we can move on to a motion.
Make a motion to approve the amendment request from ADP CR3 number 1-0504-01 to add sealed sources to the waste stream.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions from the public or other commissioners about item 10A, the import amendment request from ADP CR3? Hearing none, we can move on to a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the amendment request of ADP CR3 and item 10A, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, no. Motion passes. With that, we are through with item 10, and we are on to item 11. And in light of the fact that I'm about to lose my voice, I'm going to keep this very brief. We continue to have communications with our other compacts. As we noted, Kristen Schwab from one of our sister compacts is on today. We appreciate her being here. We really do believe that collectively we have a much better voice on a national scale through the forum and through the work we do with our other compacts. We are unique in some ways in that we have a site that takes waste from non-compact states, and so we sit in a little bit of a unique position. But I think our participation with the other compacts and in the forum is very important. I was going to pitch for the next forum meeting. When will that be? October.
Early October.
So for those of you that want to attend October 8th and 9th, and it is this time in Tennessee. There will be some tours there, so that may be very beneficial to some of you. The next item on my report is upcoming legislative session. Pre-filing of bills has not started yet, but it will, and we will monitor that very carefully to see if anything impacts us. Obviously, if nothing else, we know we will be going through the appropriation process again as we do every legislative session, so we may look to some of you to help us with that, with our LAR and presentation to the Senate and House committees on our budget. I expect it will be largely the same as it has been in the past, but obviously we need to treat that very carefully every year because the money we get is very much appreciated and very much needed, but we need to make sure we have our ducks in a row to get it. So we will make sure that we are in communication with you on that. And along those same lines, as we come to the end of our disposal year, which will be August 31st, we will pass the new budget. It will be ready at the next meeting. We will try to get that out to everyone well in advance of it in case anyone has any questions. Again, it will look very similar to previous budgets, but it is something that we need to do for the upcoming fiscal and disposal year, which run concurrently. So please be on the lookout for that. As a final reminder, speaking of the end of the fiscal year, commissioners, if you have reimbursements you want to get in, please try to do that in the next couple of months. I know it will be a little bit difficult because we're going to Vermont in August, but if you can get all of them in other than Vermont, maybe before we go, that will make Diane's job easier and allow us to get everything in under the deadline for reimbursements, and then we can all hustle around after we get back from Vermont and put those reimbursement requests in. I believe that is all for the chairman's report. So with that, we're through with item 11, and we'll move on to item 12, which is the executive director report. I'll turn it over to Stephen.
Here's a quick report for you as far as the contracts. We will have the updates on that. We haven't had any new contracts. We have made a few changes to the website we talked about last time regarding getting detail in the import applications on the number of shipments that people were expecting to make and gather some data on that. But those changes have already been made to the website. There is also in your board packet the audit report. We had our annual audit done last year, and the report came in since the last meeting. The audit was clear as it always is. It's a good report, but wanted to make sure the commissioners had opportunity to see that. Make that available to the public as well. If you have questions about the audit report, Chairman Hurley and I have reviewed it, but wanted to give you an opportunity to have questions about that.
As a reminder, the audit is an obligation that we have in our statute, so well, we would probably do it anyway. But if you have any questions about why we do an audit every year, that is why. And it is an important process for transparency and accountability that we show that we are good stewards of our money and we're not doing anything inappropriate. So if you have any questions about what Stephen said, please contact ET or I.
The last thing I was going to say, I got a request in the last few days. WCS called to visit with me about a concern they had about tracking. We talked about brokers providing information to us. They have asked for their compliance purposes if we would ask brokers to provide a shipment number so we can track that in the condition removal letters that we post online for the public to see. WCS asked if we would do that, and that would be helpful to them in their compliance process. So brokers, waste processors, if you have questions about that, please contact me, but we will probably doing that going forward. Provide a shipment number that can be correspondent to that group.
And that number, will it be the uniform number that's issued by?
It'll be issued by the broker. That's going to be so that often what many of them do is will provide in their letter request, the condition letter, the shipment number, and it's usually included, but not all have included that shipment number. So this will be just a new thing that will require the brokers. If you have problems with that, please bring that to me.
No problem. I just want to clarify. So when a broker or a waste processor sends you a package of information for review, you're reviewing the totality of everything there. So packages, manifests, irregardless of whether it's on one truck or 6 trucks, that doesn't matter to us. It's whatever the package of information is that you receive, you review, it gets an approval.
that you then send back, and we're gonna have a unique number provided by the broker or processor that would be provided to you, and that you would then include on your letter back that says you're approved to ship this material.
That's correct, and I think this would also probably need to apply, that we may clarify for compliance purposes. Some of these that we approve today that will need a condition number one, even though they are not brokers, will get a shipment number, if that's what's needed for compliance purposes, like the PG&E we talked about earlier, that has waste coming from California. The shipment number. Contact me if you have any questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Raines, a couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation. Apparently you received a notification form for a company that wished to export some radioactive material and then import it back. It's being exported. This is under, the reason I bring it up is such a rare occurrence to have someone use the 675.22 rule, export, and then for reprocessing or something, and then import again. So it's what we talked about was it was being sent out for box, I think it was the waste reduction box was checked.
That's correct.
But it only starting out like less than a cubic foot of material and being sent out for volume reduction. And like 120 curies, I think it was cesium 137 and americium 241. So my question was, what are they actually sending out? Make sure that activity comes back again. Did you ever find out anything from the company? This is such a rare occurrence, that's why I bring it up.
I did not hear back from them. I'll follow up with them because I asked them to follow up and explain it. They did indicate and check the box, and the waste would return to the compact for disposal. It just seemed a little odd that as you said, in that small volume amount, right? What would they be reducing it to? I asked them to provide notification to us when that waste does return at a minimum, and to review legislation. They haven't heard back from them, but I'll follow up with you back from them.
That'd be great. Just with it's a unique situation, to use that rule. Thank you.
Any other questions of our executive director? Hearing none, we can move on then to our next item, which is our future commission meetings. Our next meeting is August 13th, and it is in Woodstock, Vermont, so it will definitely occur. For those of you that haven't gotten your hotels or plane tickets, please do so. It is the first time we've ever been to Woodstock, so we are excited to go there. We're appreciative of Deborah Poland and our Vermont commissioners who have worked really hard to help us set this up. And obviously the trip to Vermont's always kind of a highlight of our year, so we look forward to that. After that, the next one is October 22nd, and it is in Andrews, so again, it will definitely occur. And that will be our trip to Andrews, which we try to make on a yearly basis as well. Gives us an opportunity to interact with some elected officials out there, and let anyone in the public who wants to address us have the ability to do that in person. And we show that we, want to make sure we include them in a lot of our decision making, because they're the ones that are the most impacted by a lot of the things we do. After that, the next meeting is December 17th back here in Austin. Oftentimes that meeting is canceled because we don't have enough business to justify a meeting, but we will keep it on the books until we know. We will never meet just for the purposes of meetings. So if we don't have enough to justify a meeting, we know that's the holidays, so we will cancel it if we don't think it's justified. From that point forward, the legislature will be in session, so our meetings in early next year will probably be a little bit up in the air, and their location and timing may be a little bit fluid for a little while until we kind of see what the legislature is doing and how they're using these rooms, because we might need to have them in alternate locations, including maybe even our office or going back up to TCQ and using their facilities. So we will keep you updated on that, but those are the immediate next three meetings. Are there any questions about future meetings? As a reminder, just to get everybody's head around it, our August meeting generally is the one where we have our highest volume of import applications, because that is immediately before our next disposal year starts. So that may be a pretty long agenda in Woodstock. So not that meeting should take too terribly long, but it may be longer than our normal hour to hour and a half of our meetings. So just so you understand that for your planning purposes. And we will also, like I said, go over our budget at that meeting as well. So that'll be a full agenda. Any other questions about future meetings? Okay, with that, we are through with item 13. We can move on to item 14, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
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 Thank you all very much for today.